And Europe has a large share, EU share in the global demand in 2030, because yes, we are strong on the automotive industry, but we are also needing a lot of cars ourselves. And we definitely see that the lines of software code in a car are increasing significantly. Next slide, please. So we see a certain risk that the EU, with its strong automotive industry, is a bit falling behind. We see non-EU companies getting into the game. For example, we see the large chip suppliers to try to take over, also over control over the automotive, the digital architecture of the car. We see the digital native automakers who don't have to worry about legacy and have already taken an SDV, software-defined vehicle approach from the outset. And we see the hyperscalers with their operating systems and platforms also moving from their strong positions in entertainment or in other areas into the car. So the question is, how can the European car manufacturers or vehicle manufacturers in general, how can they make sure that they stay as strong in the market as they are still currently? So there is a threat to the autonomy of the EU automotive industry, and we see a lot of impacts of actions happening. Like, for example, if we have export control for semiconductors, that may limit to who we can export our cars in future. So it's important to get independence from that through platforms with common interfaces, with abstraction from hardware, and so on. So at the moment, we see a very fragmented effort by EU automotive actors, by the vehicle companies. They all work on their own operating system, and there are lots of alliances and partnerships growing. And you see that in the press every 2 weeks that there is a new alliance. It's not always on the full stack, but it's sometimes of parts of the stack. So we see a bit of a puzzle happening there in individual companies and across companies. So in general, I would say there's a threat to the competency and sovereignty of the EU automotive industry if we don't get our act together and become stronger on this digital part of the car. Next slide, please. And that's why we are thinking in the Commission how we deliver from our recent strategies that we have published and that are currently as draft, that are currently in Council and Parliament. How do we bring the benefits to the automotive industry? And as you know, benefits you don't bring by funding everything, by supporting everything, but benefits usually come better by if you focus on the most important things or on the truly European things where collaboration is necessary. So building on the new industrial strategy, which has these buzzwords, strategic autonomy or sovereignty of Europe as a key objective, and the data strategy, that we can better profit from all the data that is around in Europe, and we have very rich data. And last not least, the CHIPS Act to get not only design but also fab back to Europe. And therefore, the automotive industry, we are thinking of 2 dimensions. We are looking at the automotive hardware platform based probably on open source, and there I need to go back 1 slide back, please. So there we are in a planning phase. Planning phase means we are planning at the moment the CHIPS Act. It's in Council and Parliament. We expect that after summer it will be real, and then we see that we could start an initiative on automotive hardware platform. That's planning, yeah. And so I cannot say more on that. I will give you a link to a paper that was recently published on that in a minute. On the software side, we have already moved a bit further. So we have a focus topic under the KDT work program 2023 on open software, on an open software defined vehicle platform, which I would say in simple terms for you to remember, you see the details later today, is basically meaning building the glue between all the digital components in the vehicle and getting a platform standards on the glue. That means on, when you look at the term car OS, looking down to the hardware, but also the middleware looking down to the applications across the different domains in the car. And there we have started an initiative under Work Program 2023. Next one. So now I would like to give you the references to these initiatives so that you can look it up, what is happening there, and that you are all on the same level like everybody else. So on the hardware platform, we want to reinforce the European position in strategic market of high performance central automotive processors, leveraging on RISC-V developments. There were several workshops. There's another one tomorrow, and there is a paper, recommendations and roadmap for European sovereignty in open source hardware, software, and RISC-V technologies, which is available. And there is refinement also taking place, particularly for the automotive side. So I have added when you get the presentation, there's a link to it, so you'll find it. On the software-defined vehicle side, major objective is to reduce the costs and complexity by working together on the non-differentiating features. I think that's important. Non-differentiating means the customer doesn't see it because every company has to have that functionality anyway. And important in a pre-competitive setup, because we have competition law, we have to be sure that we don't get in conflict with competition law. And there we also had a workshop on the 29th of November, and we have a high-level governance group meeting, so which is not the ones who submit proposals, but it's governing that from the European industry. And there we have a concept paper available that is on the web. I have provided the link here again, a concept paper on an open European software-defined vehicle platform. And we are thinking of updating it end of March, 1 month before the closing of this course. So we are very transparent, so everybody has the same level of information on where we stand there. And the implementation here on the software-defined vehicle platform is done through the KDT call 2023. And we are thinking together with the industry and the member states to what extent more is needed. So the first topic, which I call a bit the jump start, so next slide, please. And you will see a lot of information about that. I've tried to put it on one slide just as a summary. So later on, you can look at that and then dig into the detail. So it's a jump start under Work Program 2023. Jump start in a way means we had to select a certain focus. And the focus here is on the hardware abstraction layer for vehicle operating system, but also taking into account the overall architecture and the link from the hardware to the applications, to the functionality of the applications in the different domains. So it's not limited, going a bit beyond that. The call has opened on the 3rd of May, and we have 2 topics there. One is the research topic, that's the left-hand side, and the other one is the coordination topic, the coordination and support topic. So on the research, it's a 20 million euro program, 20 million EU, plus then the KDT funding model, the contributions from the member states and the participants according to the rules. So I would say probably it ends up like a 70 million euro investment. The outcome, what we would like to see at the end is the concept. It's a reference architecture. It's kind of an API framework, a common tool set, and open source reference implementation. Open source, I'm saying here, if appropriate. There may be some parts where this is not appropriate. That then has to be argued as well, and it's possible to be argued. The scope is core software functionalities, abstraction of the hardware resources, and definitely looking at the whole SDV architecture and aligning in this SDV architecture that is discussed across the board. We would like to see proof of concept, and we have basically said we would like to see at least 3 applications or three examples in the domain chassis powertrain, battery and charging management, and autonomous driving functionalities. And one important point that I mentioned, and we'll come back to you in a minute, is that we would like to see OEMs and tier 1s both represented in there in a kind of significant number and a representative number, because such an initiative only makes sense if we in Europe join forces, because companies are doing it alone at the moment already. So basically, the added value, our value proposition, comes from joining forces to reduce the cost, but also to reduce the need for skills, because we have a very strong shortage of digital skills in the sector. Second, we are supporting a 2 million euro coordination and support action, and that is basically there to support building the ecosystem, to support looking at getting an agreement on a roadmap, looking at what future calls may be needed to complement what we are doing now, to make sure that companies get their act together on defining the reference architecture, not only in the research project we are doing, but in the broader context. I come to that in a second. And in particular, supporting this dynamic ecosystem that has to be built, and in a way that should support an open software-defined vehicle platform that's driven by EU actors. I mean, we are not in isolation here. I'm not thinking of a platform that's purely European, but we would like to see a European drive in this. And it's also there to support high-level governance, because one thing is clear: we can technically do the best that we can. If this is not supported by management in companies, then it will end nowhere, and that's a kind of a problem we often see in European projects. So it's very important to get this high-level governance up, and also steer these kind of projects and align with other initiatives. So next slide, last slide. So I just want to tell a bit the big picture. What I have in green here is the initiative that we are at the moment foreseeing in KDT. So the first two green bars from the top are the ones that we have called for now. The last one, the third one, is basically saying we can do more in future. We have to see what is needed and have to agree it with the constituency and definitely with the boards in the KDT joint undertaking, which is to become the CHIPS joint undertaking. The red one below is basically already indicating we are thinking of an automotive hardware platform and some support there, which I would see happening in the second half of this year when the CHIPS JU is in action, which is not the case yet. We should not forget that all of this is also linked to other partnerships in the EU, and that's in particular the Connected Automated Driving partnership, CCAM, and also the 2.0 partnership. And the CCAM is focusing on the automated driving applications, whereas 2.0 is more focusing on the electric vehicle applications. So there the innovation is on the application, whereas in KDT the innovation is on the system level, on the integration. So we have two types of different innovation, and that is all very much linked as well. And I think it's important in the CSA, in the governance project, in the project that supports the coordination and support action that also supports governance, that we take into account what happens everywhere in industry and in member states. And I have in mind projects like New Vehicle Operating System in France, or Soft D-Car in Germany, or Central Car Server in Germany. All of them, like, I would say, investments between 50 and 100 million each. So that is the big picture that we see, and that is the role that I see in green, what is happening in the software-defined vehicle area, and where we have the first call in the focus area on a research innovation action and on a CSA support action open at the moment. I would now like to just show you the last slide. We have a web page on that. So if you go to that one, you will get a link to all the important information that you need there from the Commission perspective, and it also links to the KDT site for the call and things like that. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to hearing more now on the summary of the concept paper that we have developed with the industry. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max. So as Max properly pointed out, we are now going to hear more about the concept paper. This will be Martin Kellner from McKinsey. The floor is yours.
Okay, so good morning from my side. I hope you can hear me and see the screen. I will now present in 10-15 minutes the concept paper on the software-defined vehicle platform. This is based on a workshop which took place on November 29 last year in Brussels. There were 3 objectives for this workshop. The first one was to align on the key challenges in the software-defined vehicle space. The second one was to discuss how industry players can collaborate on non-differentiating software. And the third one was to discuss how this can be supported and driven at the European level. Participants of this workshop were members of companies like AVL, BMW, Bosch, Continental, Forvia, Marelli, Mercedes, Renault, Stellantis, TTTech, Valeo, Volkswagen, and ZF, as well as industry organizations like VDA, PFA, and ANFIA. Let me quickly start with the challenges. And I think, why should the European automotive industry act now and work together? I think one would be changing customer preferences. We see that customers are looking for new features, especially around ADAS, autonomous driving, and infotainment. We see fundamental changes on the technology side, so evolving from a domain, distributed EE architecture to a domain centralized architecture, and finally to a vehicle centralized EE architectures with zone and vehicle controller. We see new competitors moving into the space, tech companies, but also new OEMs emerging, especially on electric vehicles. We also see new regulations, for example, the EU General Safety Regulation, but also regulation on software and cybersecurity. But we also see, and that's very promising, openness of a lot of players to join forces and work together, because there are such big challenges no one can really address alone. So what are the key challenges we currently see for OEMs and Tier 1 suppliers around the software-defined vehicle? It's first, and you see that on the right-hand side, that the complexity is increasing basically exponentially. This is driven by more functionality, by distributed functionality, by functionality running in the vehicle, but also on the cloud. While on the other hand, the productivity is not increasing at the same scale. Second challenge is that a lot of software projects we're seeing are delayed, also leading to delayed new vehicle launches. There's an increased dependency on tech companies who basically set de facto standards, for example, in the infotainment area. We see tight R&D budgets, OEM Tier 1 suppliers who need to do not just the switch to the software-defined vehicle, but also introduce electrification, spend a lot of money on ADAS and autonomous driving, but then also do invest into the software-defined vehicle and new EE architectures. We see for all players the difficulty to find software talent. There is an increased effort to comply with regulation. And also for Tier 1 suppliers, based on the discussion, we see a high share of non-value adding efforts. For example, adapting the same software and applications and functions towards multiple OEM platforms and standards. What were the initial agreement at this workshop? The first one was that an open source reference architecture is required with standardized interfaces, but there was also the agreement that interfaces alone are not enough. It really needs an open source development and a reference implementation and piloting. It's not just the reference architecture, it's also common development and standards on the development and validation tools. It's also about building the ecosystem, an ecosystem of software-defined vehicle developers, for example, also involving universities to enhance the skills and reinforce the talent pool. The next one would be standardization of data formats, interfaces, and touch points in the software-defined vehicle. And these are different interfaces, could be interfaces between central and zone computer, but could also be interfaces between the vehicle and the cloud. I think there we need to spend more time to really define which interfaces should be part of the scope now and which are already covered or which should be added later. It's important this initiative is only focusing on pre-competitive software under the Horizon Europe rules in line with competition laws driven by EU players, building on the EU strength to basically enforce this broader collaboration. It's also what we discussed. There are a lot of initiatives already like AUTOSAR, COVESA, Eclipse Foundation, SOAFI. I think it should not replace these activities. There should be a collaboration with these existing alliances. It was also discussed to have an agile approach with rapid prototyping, validation, testing, and immediate rollout of components once they are standardized and implemented. So the next one would be a tightening alignment of the software integration with the emerging topologies of the EE architecture in new hardware, also linking to the initiative driven by the EU on hardware. And the role of the European Commission would be to be a neutral convener of collaboration efforts to support the build-up of the ecosystem. And I think the important thing is that all the objective of doing this is really reduce complexity by having standards on non-differentiating elements, increase cross-industry collaboration, reduce the redundant and unrequired efforts. And at the end, especially in Europe, increase the competitiveness of the European automotive industry going forward. If we look at the scope, and I think this is still in discussion, but the agreement of the last workshop was to initially focus on the hardware abstraction layers and on the standard software and development framework. For the safety relevant domains in the vehicle, I think if it's also including the non-safety relevant domains like the infotainment and cockpit needs to be discussed going forward. There are also some unresolved questions where we need additional effort to solve them. The first one would be how to connect with the existing initiatives I have just mentioned and the consortia. So what are the interfaces, how to work together? Also, there needs to be a further elaboration of non-differentiating elements of the software stack. So what would be the next steps from the hardware abstraction layers where this initiative should focus on? And I think the last one would be the structure and the role of the industry players in the collaboration. So what is the cooperation model, the collaboration framework, or maybe if there's also the need for a new entity to drive the standardization, but also the reference implementation. And I think that was the summary of what was discussed in Brussels on November 29th. And I think we're now moving to Q&A.
Yes, indeed. We now have the floor open for questions.
Question from my side, Ulrik Janusson from Scania. I wonder, so this is all, the goal here is to create an open source framework. And so it could really be a global thing. Anyone in the world could potentially contribute to this. Is that correct? And also take advantage of it. Is that correct?
Yes. If I answer that, I think that's correct in a sense. But what we are planning here in Europe is we try to get our actors around the table to be the drivers of this. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's the major message. We are not living in isolation. So I think an SDV framework for Europe doesn't help us. So to get others on board, yes, that's indeed important. But we should drive it by joining forces, because we are probably individually too small to drive such an architecture in the world. So, and we see similar consolidation already taking place also in the United States and in China, whereas in Europe we are often still very fragmented. So the idea is really to get our effort together to drive this together.
Yeah, and just probably to add, because we are talking this in the frame of the instruments like KDT and Chips GU, they can contribute, but we will support our European contributors financially. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Johan?
Yeah, I also posted the question on the chat, but I didn't see any comparison to what's going on at the moment in the world in terms of initiatives to already define architectures and hardware and software. For example, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, Foxconn. You mentioned the US, you mentioned China. They're investing huge amounts of money, and I see at the moment this, let's say, very tiny little initiative for KDT with 20 million. I would think that this is peanuts compared to what's already invested in this area. How do you see this? How do you see the state of the art? How to catch up in the long run?
I would agree with you that the money looks like peanuts. I would also say, but money is not just there for the sake of financing. What we do here is we open a platform, we open an environment where industry can work together in a pre-competitive setup, in line with competition law. We see investments of individual companies. I'm sure you have seen what happens you have just said you see what happens in other places of the world. You have also probably seen that the big OEMs in Europe invest between 1 and 7 billion each in what is called cars. So there is a lot of investment there. So what the European money is just to help build the glue and support getting together and working together on this common architecture. So I don't think we can now see the investment as to be compared with individual company investment. That comes on top of that comes on top of that. So with this investment, we try to reduce the need for skills. We try to reduce the overall investments of companies in the long term, because we have some glue that we work on together. Yeah, so I think there is, and I've always said when companies ask me, I've said, if you're in for the money, then you shouldn't be in. It's not to make money, but it's to have the right platform to work together. And I would also add, this 20 million means with member states means 40, means 70 investment in total around. And we have also said that under the KDT joint undertaking, which will become CHIPS joint undertaking, under CCAM, under 2.0, in the member states, we can pool these resources and align and do more in the next year. So I would say, yes, this, you may still call this peanuts at the end compared to the large investments, but it's basically getting our act together to be open and to get an open environment so that we are not dictated by others on how we have to move in the industry.
Thank you.
But I'm happy if my colleague Martin, if you want to comment, or anybody else from Andreas or anybody from McKinsey wants to comment as well.
No, I think the important thing is we see exactly that other players, new players moving into the industry, put a lot of money into it. And to basically catch up and accelerate and strengthen the European industry, this is why this is so important.
That's true, and if I can add a bit, the picture is not so black and white. We are behind in some investments in some areas, but automotive has it's a pretty big area. So if we're talking about sensors, if we are talking about fusion, Europe stays pretty good. So now we are trying to put the bar a bit higher, and we are trying to take a bit of the place that others are already pretty active in. And as Max actually underlined, this is kind of accelerator, this money that we are putting. It's not really the whole money that is there. A lot of money is already in this field. This is accelerators to get the synergy and to put the priorities in the same direction so we can get the maximum of all the investments that are there.
And maybe to say that this money is to get an open level playing field and not driven by standards by one company or one actor, but to be open and to agree with the community what are the right standards or the right platform that we need. And that definitely is open to all the companies who want to contribute in this equal level playing field, in this ecosystem in Europe. And that definitely, as was pointed out before, is not limited to European companies. Just we would like to drive to have the European companies in the driving seat, at least of this European initiative.
I see still hands raised, so I see, just a second because I cannot read all the name. Can you just put your camera on and speak up? I have 2 hands at least. Yes, please. You are muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is Georg from Carriot. So I would have actually 2 questions. One question for me is, that's maybe the easier one, is the non-differentiating. So we had multiple consortia in the past, and the ambition to collaborate in non-differentiating space. However, if you look on the entire software stack or in the entire technology stack, non-differentiating from a vehicle perspective, from a systems perspective, OS perspective, and hardware perspective are completely different. So how do we tackle that? So that would be first question, because if we take the whole cake and we try to make non-differentiating elements out of the whole stack, it's going to be rather difficult. And that's what other consortia actually really failed on. That's one question. And my second question would be in a bit related to that is speed. You were talking about we need to get into the driver's seat. Now, one of the things that we see in consortia is actually that they are notoriously slow. So what could we do different so that we actually can get fast and can actually get into the driver's seat? I think that would be really a differentiator that we can look into. And I think it's related, because the more focus we have, the faster we can be. And maybe that's also the reason why we now see that multiple consortia on specific topics are forming. So this is why these 2 questions are, to me, quite a bit related.
So probably that goes in a way to me. So the first point on the non-differentiating space, I mean, we have formed a kind of a governance group that will also, I can say that is meeting. And in this governance group, we are discussing exactly that point. So the biggest question we will ask is, what are the non-differentiating space that you want to work together on, and what do you rather not want to work together on, and how do we get that together in the software-defined vehicle platform? So it's a discussion. I don't. At the moment, we are discussing with industry, with the different, with all the OEMs, with all the major tier ones, to see how we can get an agreement on what we should focus on. And that's one of the things I would hope I have more answers on that in a couple of weeks, on agility that you mentioned. I think that's a key point. Also, I would say we have seen research projects in the past that were pure research projects. What we are trying here is, we are trying to have 2 strands in this initiative. One strand is the funding through KDT and other partnerships, and one is to get a governance in place on the level of high-level management of the companies to agree, because we know if it's run as a research project, it will end up nowhere. So if we don't link that to the strategies of the companies, this will not work. At the same time, what we do here is a high risk. What if they don't buy in? Yes, that happens. We have a research and innovation program, so it may happen, but we are trying our best to get this also on the desk of the CTOs or CEOs in companies to see what we can do together. And agility, again, in European research, we are pushing strongly for exploitation. So whenever we develop research and innovation components, they should be available for rollout in companies, be it as open source components or be it just the interface and implemented in-house in companies. That's up for the contributors. But it's important to get it directly into the real product, because otherwise, I mean, you're absolutely right. Then we get our act together and we need 5 years and then we exploit. That shouldn't happen. So this is also a typical topic we will discuss in the governance group. Andreas, I think you can comment.
Yeah, Max, maybe I can add to answer Georg's second question. And also, my name is Andreas Kornet, also from McKinsey, so I'm a colleague from Martin. I think you're absolutely right. That's a tough question. So why will it be faster this time? Why will it be, even more successful than the efforts before? And all of those efforts before were very good efforts with lots of energy and so on. And I think it's a tough one. A couple of ideas. First of all, I think, and we think, the pressure is higher than it has ever been before. Yeah. So there is more willingness of the entire industry to really join forces than it was before. First element. Second element, I think everybody is convinced that this, at a certain point in time, has to become a top executive topic. Yeah, it has to be supported by the CTOs, the CEOs of all the companies who want to join forces. They have to agree on the direction. They have to agree that they will, if there is a certain standard will be created, that they will apply this standard. And I think also this willingness is higher today than it used to be in the past. And the third element is, and Georg, we have discussed about this many times in the past, is what is the operating model of such an effort, of such a, however you want to call it, standardization or consortia. And I think also here we need to be even more innovative in the operating model. And that's actually something we are also discussing. So what are different models? Could you just, found a company? Could you buy a company? Could you, put people from participating companies into a new company? And as I mentioned, we have discussed it many times. And I think this time also, this has to become maybe an even more brave step than it used to be in the past. Yeah, but I think we are convinced that this time maybe there's even more willingness to go this way. Yeah, but in summary, this is certainly $1 million question you're asking here. Yeah, and we are not saying we have the solution right now, but we have to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see another hand. So, Adrian.
Yes, hello. My name is Adrian Baruta from Toyota Motor Europe. So I have one question. Mr. Kellner mentioned already a couple of organizations that are already addressing SDV, like Eclipse SDV or AutoSAR and Covesa, and that you would expect collaboration with such organization. So my question is, what would be the concrete next step to open such collaboration?
So I think the next step is really to discuss with each of these things what could be the common things and where we could work together. But Max, maybe you also want to add your thoughts.
Yeah, I can just add, we do not want to reinvent the wheel. That means we want to make sure that we can build on whatever we can build on. We are discussing in the governance group, in particular, this relationship to Covesa, the Eclipse Working Group, SOAFI, and AutoSAR, obviously. And we are seeing what industry is suggesting. So I think I should make very clear here, we Commission are putting the framework to KDT. It's the industry who has to now work together to define. And to answer your question in particular, the reason why we in this governance group we are discussing with the automotive companies is because they should be driving it and then work together as needed and as best done with these existing or also evolving organization in the area. But clear message, not reinvent the wheel, see how we can build on that, how we can have contribute to the evolution of these things in the right direction.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I have another hand.
Yeah,
Oliver?
probably that's mine. So
Yeah.
Oliver Jazowski from Electrobit. You pointed out that it would be important in order to be successful to get really a big support from several partners from the industry. So my question is are there any supporting activities to create a strong and broad consortium?
I will, as commissioned, stay absolutely neutral on that, the same as my colleagues in KDT. But we have in this event, we give the opportunity to pitch. So there are organizations who may be interested in that, who want to say that in this meeting. But we as commission, as joint undertaking, have to stay absolutely neutral and not intervene on that. That's why I'm also distinguishing clearly between a governance group, which is on management level to basically think of what can be done jointly, and decouple that from consortium building. That has, one is not linked directly, not linked to the other. So I would like to keep that very open, but you hear more today probably. And after this meeting, I think you will have some ideas.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? I don't see more hands. I still see two, but they have taken the floor. So I believe they have just kept the hand up. Okay.
We have one question.
Okay.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Yeah, more a statement than a question, adding to what Max Lemke said. My name is Marcus Pollick, speaking for VDA. So we would be clearly interested to contribute to the CSA process and looking forward to a collaboration there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If I can make one comment to one of the points in the chat, maybe as a final comment, there is a bit this question of agility. How long do things take? And I know we have a commission program, and commission programs are not always known for being the fastest. But what we see here under KDT, I would say, is a good example of what we can do. From the time when we thought about this to the first money be put in a call was less than 8 months. So that was relatively for commission. In a commission sense, this was relatively quick. And in the KDT and CHIPS joint undertaking, there's also the possibility to have calls every year. So there is a kind of dynamicity possible. And I think that can be used to the advantage of such initiatives. I'm not saying it's like in a small SME where you can take decisions from today to tomorrow. No, that's not possible, but I think there is a high degree of flexibility in commission terms available here.
Okay. So any other comments, questions, statements? If not, then I go to a bit more boring part of the of the work. I'll present you the schedule of the call that is open, and especially highlight some of the things that are related to the subject that we're discussing. Let me share my screen. Okay. I hope you can see the slide.
Yes.
Good. Maybe presentation mode will be more appropriate. Yes. So we have a call open for 2023, and this time the budget is slightly higher than usual. So we have a budget of almost 318 million. This is only the GU side. There is also a part contributed from the national authorities, and it will be of the same order. With this budget, we have launched 3 calls for proposals. Now, the first one of them is the 2-phase innovation action. That is for higher TRLs and with a global topic and 3 focus topics. And this one is for 213 million. Then there is a 2-phase again call for research and innovation action that is on lower TRLs and is with 1 focus topic, and it's about 97 million. And then we have a 1-phase call with EA and 2 CSA topics that will be supported only with GU funding, and there we have 8 million. Now, the part of the 1-phase call is definitely faster, getting to the consortia and getting to the start of the project. Just a brief reminder about the deadlines. I hope most of you know about them. If not, please check our website and please consider to submit proposals, because this topic is extremely important, but there are also other interesting topics, and there is quite sizable funding. So we have in the 2-stage calls, we have a deadline on 3rd of May for the project outline and 19th of September for the full project proposal. And for the 1-stage call, it's only the 3rd of May. Now, if we go into the innovation action, there is a general topic in the year that is driven by the SRIA, and there you can also propose things related to the mobility and also to software-defined vehicle. Just to say that the 20 million for this special focus topic is not really a hard limit. If you want, you can apply for more. Then topic 4, actually topic 2 is the focus topic on 6G integration. Topic 3 is the focus topic on integration of trustworthy HAI. And focus 4 is on electronic control systems for management and control of decentralized energy and storage. Now, in the research and innovation action, we have the general topic and only 1 focus topic, and that's the hardware abstraction layer for European vehicle operating system. This is the topic that we were talking about in the previous 2 presentations. So I will spend a bit more time on it in the next slide. Now, in the CSA and EA 3rd call, that is only 1 phase. There is also topic 3, that is the coordination of the European software-defined vehicle platform. That was also under discussion in the 2 previous presentations. Now, if we are looking into the hardware abstraction layer of the European vehicle operating system, what we are looking for here is just the start of a process. There will be more calls and there will be more projects that, as a layer-based approach, will provide the basis for the SDV reference architecture. What is the expected outcome? We are looking for a concept, reference architecture, and standardized APIs and framework for software-defined vehicles. This should be supported by common software toolset for debugging, for integration, and automated testing. This should be also demonstrated how it can be used by proof of concept and reference implementations. If we are looking into the other topic of interest that is in the ESCSA call, topic 3, this is the coordination of the European software-defined vehicle platform. Here we are looking to have action that will support the coordination between different actions. The action funded under the RIA call, but not only, also actions funded under the Commission calls, actions funded under national calls, any other projects in this area that are already funded or will be funded. It's interesting to know about them, and it's interesting to have a coordination between these actions. It's also this action should ensure the possibility to have a synergetic approach and coherence between initiatives and partnership activities. We have sister PPPs in the Commission that are active in the same field, and it's extremely important that we align there. The expected outcome, and we would expect to have agreement on a technical roadmap for common open software-defined vehicle platform that should be aligned with the development of an open automotive hardware platform. We should have also an agreement on an open reference architecture and jointly developed open source components. And yeah, last but not least, this should lead to the development and creation of a dynamic ecosystem that should be led by manufacturing and especially automotive and tier 1 suppliers. The tasks, they are pretty much related to the expected outcome. So there should be development of regular technical roadmap and regular update on this for the common open SDV platform. There should be also a development and agreement on a reference architecture. There should be support to the GU and the Commission in setting up the high-level governance structure that was already mentioned by Max. And there should be also support to the GU in structuring, steering, and coordinating of this focusing area, in this focused area. So the coordination and support action is pretty important to help the development of all these areas. I have listed a few tasks to be addressed. They're in the same, I would say, line. Should probably mention that it should be paid attention what is going on in the member states and in the other funding instruments, and that we need to maintain this ecosystem by having the necessary conferences and workshops where these architectures and standards can be discussed. So in the end, the purpose is to have a strong and sustainable initiative that will enable an open platform for software-defined vehicles, and also will be dynamic enough to engage the participants and to have clear and agile governance. So that's pretty much it. I have gone rapidly through it because this is information for an open call. Most of this information is available on the portal, also on our website. Our work program has more details, and the SRIA has still more fields, so please feel free to check all the sources. And if you have any questions, you can ask them right now. Okay. So I hope this is a good news. You're aware of our calls. You're preparing already proposals, so there are no questions. Then I would say we go to the most interesting part that was already actually hinted on. And this is the proposals, pitches for proposals. Eventually, we have quite some people that wanted to give a pitch. I would start from the top of the list. So virtual testing. Sorry for the pronunciation. Big Tree Bilsim AS. Do we have a representative of this company in the call? Okay.
And Anton, this is Müjdat from Marmara University. Big Tree is our spin-off company. Previously we prepared a presentation how we can contribute to such kind of consortiums. I can present, okay, over there's not too much specific to the software-defined vehicle, but how we can contribute to build these APIs. In Turkey, we are also in managing such kind of platform in the description of in this, building the specifications and requirements of such a platform, not for the only vehicle size, but also from infrastructure side. I mean, how we can support such kind of complete system.
Okay. Thank you. We have another company pitch from Verum.
Yes, I represent. My name is Rutger van Beuzekom. I'm the CTO of Verum. And I'd like to present a key technology we believe for the software-defined vehicle. Verum Design could offer a holistic approach to the software-defined vehicle because it offers a model-based development environment that actually incorporates formal verification to the current engineering workforce because we've got built-in model checking that can actually prove the correctness of the resulting software by exhaustively verifying the safety properties of the software-defined vehicle across the entire system. And we offer correct by construction at the push of a button. Our technology is based on components as units of construction and separated by interfaces that act as verifiable contracts. And that together fosters the incremental and continuous development of the software-defined vehicle, which allows the orchestration of existing technologies and functions together with new technologies like Edge AI and advanced driver assistance functions. We offer an open language and an open tool chain and even an open source implementation of the tool. So that would make Verum Design an off-the-shelf solution that allows a consortium to produce the software-defined vehicle and its reference architecture through formal verification of functional safety. we are looking to take part in different consortia. If you want to know more, please visit our website, and here are our contact details. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope you get a lot of contacts.
I hope so too.
We have now a presentation of a company that at least in this forum doesn't need much of introduction. So we have a pitch from NVIDIA for the presentation of the organization.
Hi, this is JJ speaking. Thanks for your kind words, by the way. I think I'll try to give a different perspective on why we are interested. So allow me to present just one slide. That's okay. So basically, our vision for the software-defined vehicles is that we realize that automobiles are becoming small data centers, actually. And in that sense, we have put a lot of efforts to introduce GPU and processing solutions into the automobiles. But now we are also pushing our networking technologies, which has been very mature for HPC and cloud computing technologies. We're talking about connectivity, networking, security, and time synchronization. The reason for that is because the automobile, the classic automobile or today's automobile, has actually a lot of sources of data at high capacity, information from cameras, radar, lidars, and so on. They all need to be processed, they all need to be managed on board, and that means that you have actually strong networking requirements. So in that sense, we are looking forward to contributing to this field with our teams. In terms of Excel KDT, we have got quite a lot of experience, mainly in the semiconductor and AI networking projects made in Forge, HiConnex, MatQ, but lately also in Clever, where we are together with BNB, putting together new technologies for Factory 4.0 and digital twins. We have a little bit more than 5,000 employees in the EC area, and we have a strong focus on networking and servicing the automobile sector. So I think that's all for today. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes, you're a very valid contributor in this area, so I hope you will be participating further in our calls. Now we have a Beetlesat, I guess, integrating software-defined modem into an SDV. Floor is yours. Oh, maybe I'm not announcing it correctly. Aras Itzaki, I guess. Okay, let's move on. MND, Autonomous and Teleoperated Transformation Kit. You can take the floor. Okay, then let's move to Ireland. Future Mobility Campus, Ireland.
Yeah, hi folks, I'm definitely online.
Thank you.
Just can people see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the Future Mobility Campus Ireland, we're a non-for-profit organisation. We run the Irish National Test, Validation and Demonstration Facility for autonomous connected vehicles in smart cities. So we actually have staff with a specific expertise in the area of software-defined vehicles. They come from a background with Jaguar Land Rover and actually Intel as well. So just trying to get this to move slides. Sorry. So what we have at FMCI is that we're actually project agnostic. So we want users of our facility to be able to test whatever their innovative solution is across an open platform. So we actually have vehicles, they're open platform vehicles, and they focus on open hardware and open software testing. Which all feeds into our own in-house data center. So for both data capture and data management. This is an overview of our facility. So we have a 4-kilometer road. It's an open road network, which is highly connected via fiber. We have like Cisco industrial switches as well as the Cisco Edge compute modules, and we also support 4G and 5G. On top of that, we have a dedicated proving ground. We have laboratories, test facilities, and here are some of our open vehicles. So you can see here, I won't go into the details, but we have a variety of in-car sensing technology as well as multiple compute platforms. I heard NVIDIA on earlier. We have the NVIDIA DGX Orin as well as Linux platforms as well. So what we do is at FMCI is we provide edge computing as well, which interfaces with all of our vehicles. And this, just to give you a snapshot, we have a strong relationship with Jaguar Land Rover, among others. You know, these guys have invested heavily in Ireland, you know, because there's such an abundance of embedded software specialists in the country. So that's really it in a nutshell. If anyone wants to take a screenshot, there are my details. I'm the EU project manager. At FMCI, we're really just striving to provide a collaborative ecosystem for building towards the future of automotive transport. So that's it in a nutshell for me. Thanks very much.
Thank you for the presentation. You sound as the perfect.
You'll make me blush. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I think the consortiums would love to have you. So I hope they took a snapshot of your contacts.
Yeah, and we're involved in some EU projects, so we have good experience as well. So yeah, thanks very much.
Good. Next one. Institute of Electronics and Computer Science, Latvia, I guess. Hello, floor is yours. We don't hear you. I think you are muted.
Yes, hi. Now I shouldn't be muted, right? Right. So hi everyone, I'm Oskars from the Institute of Electronics and Computer Science in Latvia. We in the field of autonomous driving, we essentially focus currently on the software-defined aspect of vehicles. So what you see is the vehicles we're actually using currently, which we at some point hacked and filled with everything we need for the research we're doing, which includes connected and autonomous driving, and everything that relates to cars communicating with different aspects of the infrastructure. So basically, after hacking them, we focus essentially only on software aspects, including convenient integration of sensors, convenient parallel usage of real environments and virtual environments. And yeah, so basically, oh yeah, and the project we're currently involved in are also relate to 5G usage, high definition 360-degree sensor integration, and the communication of several traffic participants over a connected map. So we will also gladly contribute in a software-defined vehicle consortium. Thank you. Oh, and I will press enter now so that my contacts are visible in the chat. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great, thanks. Okay, we are moving back to Turkey. So the AI-based EV charge station network management system. Do we have somebody to present it? Fikri Satir, I believe. Okay. Let's move on. ACD company presentation. Are you online?
Hello, yes, I'm online. Thank you for this.
Thank you. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to share my screen. I think you see my screen now.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Ali Kafalı from ACD company, working as working in a R&D manager in ACD company. We are establishing a technological development center. We have different R&D projects that we have a huge amount of experience on this European project. Also, we have electronic and software engineers, and in general, we are working on our fields. We are developing electronic cards and embedded softwares, RF communication softwares, multi-protocol software communication, and digital twin, energy optimization algorithms, battery ontology that we are working on. And generally, we are developing AI-based energy optimization. We have different hardware products, and I would like to show you a few digital twins model developments for factory management system. And we have some data analysis interface samples. And also we are developing indoor position systems and autonomous mobile robots, ontology middleware, working on ontology and visualization parts, smart IoT platforms. And now we are developing for secure data sharing by adding some different technology like IPFS or blockchain technologies. We are also working on microservice architecture, which is developed on a few projects, which is battery-related projects, for example. And we have some real-time data architecture technologies that we are using. Also, some security models we develop by combining these technologies. And this is all from my side. Thank you for this option. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Pretty interesting, good capabilities. I hope to see you in our projects.
Yes, I would like to join this project if possible. Thank you very much.
Good. We are moving to, yes.
This is Müjdat. I think I can also make a presentation for Big 3 as well.
Okay, perfect. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Sorry, just a second.
Yes, we see the slides. It's a bit fast, couldn't read them, but okay. We don't hear anything if you're speaking.
Okay. Do you hear me or do you also see?
Now, yes. Now, yes.
Yeah.
But I think you already flipped one slide. I don't know if it's relevant.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is my Vinit Lab is located at Marmara University, and Big 3 is the spin-off Marmara University. Marmara University is the largest university in Turkey with many faculties, and in KDT and XL, we are the most successful one in Turkey with many projects. Our focus is on V2X communication, connected cars, and autonomous driving. And of course, with these, we are also interested. We are working on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and image processing. These are the projects that we are involved with these skills. And recently in Turkey, we are involved in a VR we are working on this project that is, led by our lab, Disciplinary Research Lab. Over here, we are aiming to find specifications in vehicle information and communication system. But of course, these are very relevant to the software-defined vehicle when we consider this change in the vehicles. So we also have a demonstration site within our campus area for connected vehicles. And also we are able to do testing, verification, and validation. In the campus area, we are able to demonstrate many scenarios, including V2X communication and autonomous driving. And our spin-off company, the Big3i, is also able to provide these services and contribute in the projects. In verification validation's main part, I think, also in this software-defined vehicle. And there are many tools. Every partner may provide a tool, of course, and we can also provide a tool and tool chain for verification validation, which can be used for scenario generation, scenario testing, doing these in large scale, and also incorporating the real vehicle, connected to the real vehicle with the platform. So any scenario could be tested. Security, cybersecurity scenarios also could be tested in this platform. And of course, we would like to take part in such kind of consortiums and contribute. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Yes, indeed, very interesting partner, already participating actively with us. Now, next speech will be IS Wireless. If we have them on the call.
Yes, Adam Flisikowski, I'm here. Just clicking to start the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so welcome. My name is Adam Flisikowski. I'm sorry, I will open the camera. I'm a head of R&D in IS Wireless company. We are a small, medium enterprise from Poland. And we are providing the 5G networks, which are virtualized and disaggregated. You can see our address in here. We have been recognized by the big mobile operator as a pioneer of delivering the virtualized disaggregated networks based on Open RAN in the Europe. So we provide the full chain, so radio access network software, RAN intelligent controller, and management and orchestration software. We are also the member of 6G SNS IA. And what we provide, which can be used as, I think was mentioned by NVIDIA about the data center. So basically we can deploy our 5G network, also advance it toward the 6G network, because the elements that are building the network are software driven. So all these boxes with the blue highlight below are the software elements. So between the internet and the car, or part of it can be also, all of it can be in the car. Car can have its own antenna as well. So we can deliver the full network chain, which is software only. Antenna is hardware, and deliver it to the car or outside the car for the field testing or whatever. And what is very interesting, I guess, for the software-defined car is to have a software-defined network on it. Our network is just a set of software boxes, as I said before, that can run on general purpose hardware, ARM hardware, in the cloud, in the edge. So everything is extremely scalable and extremely virtualized and disaggregated. We currently use the Kubernetes and Docker to deploy it. So after 2-3 minutes, or even maybe less, at the moment you are having the network deployed and redeployed if you need. And the research-oriented capabilities and interests are related to mainly radio resource management, especially the cell-free paradigm, which we are pioneering in. We started recently the 6G testbed, 2 projects from the SNS joint undertaking. And also we deal a lot with the RAN deployment and optimization of this RAN deployment.
optical wire resource management, security. Also, we deliver the 5G new radio physical layer model, also system level model for the projects or where it's needed. This is some picture of our project. So where we deal with the edge deployment is Brainy, also with NVIDIA, Morphemic, where we deal with deployment in the cloud. So our network is deployable like a software everywhere, and it is like scalable also to move it from place to place, deploy it or adjust the deployment. And Marsal and TeamUp 5G especially is dealing with the cell-free, which is the new paradigm where the European Commission is highly focusing on. And these two new projects is just to give you the name. Sandbox started in January, where we delivered the virtualized network in the testbed of Malaga, University of Malaga. And another one is the BRICS. This one also started January and delivering our RAN softwareized, especially for the cell-free operation where National Instruments is providing the hardware. And this is my contact, Adam Frizikowski is myself, but you can contact as well my colleagues, Arifur and Manjo. So that's it. Thank you very much. We are looking forward for the proposals and contacts to people from the software vehicle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Extremely interesting capabilities.
Thank you.
Okay. So we are moving to KDT JU, one of the enthusiasts of this initiative. So Andre, very glad to see you, but I don't hear you.
So I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, I
So
can hear you now.
trying to get that one working.
Thank you for taking the floor.
Thank you. I try to share my presentation. Or you can see my presentation now. Oh, it's coming.
Yes,
yeah?
yes, it's fine.
Great. Thank you very much for the chance. We have raised an initiative to set up a proposal for this SDV software-defined vehicle special call. And this is mainly AVL, Michael Pauli and myself, starting in January. Very briefly, TT-Tech, for those who don't know us, we are working on 4 different branches, which is currently automotive, off-highway, industrial applications, and of course, our space and aircraft applications. Everything concerns safety critical applications and software, as well as control computers is our domain. Mainly, now I can't switch my own pages. Enough. Sorry, I got a problem with my PowerPoint. Now it works. On up now. Oh, here we are. Sorry for the problems in switching. Currently, we have about 36 research projects ongoing. The organization is about 2,300 people large, all over Europe and the rest of the world as well. Probably the most interesting thing is that we have already 2 million cars with our MotionWise platform working, which should be a start also in this generation of the next vehicle platforms. What would we like to do is, as I said before, AVL and TT-Tech had raised to bring together a strong tool consortium for this call. This is also what we would like to make known. There's a core group already available with major OEMs and tier ones and chip already, let's say, committed or interested in our proposal. We currently are looking also to set up a large commitment in the OEM area. We have initiated to integrate different R&D goals into the proposal, and we would like also to invite in due course partners from academia and research to enrich the results. Very briefly, for the OEMs, we currently see architectures, requirements, and evaluation. The other thing is in tier ones in helping to implement the modules and the software components for demonstration and for building up the platform. For the chip manufacturers, we're certainly also highly interested with the partners we already have and potential others to connect to RISC-V and other controllers and components in these platforms. And for the research and academia, we are hoping for having breaking innovation technologies to be contributed, as well as research in dedicated areas which are currently not so much covered or unsolved. This is mainly the intent that we have. So if you are interested to join, these are the 2 email addresses. I will put that into the chat as well. If you have interest in joining into this initiative, we also have weekly meetings. We can invite you there. And please also send me back your contact details. We will reply by a template that would give you the chance to bring in your research topic for such a proposal very quickly, and then we will make a down selection thereof. Thank you very much for having attention on that, and hope for a lot of interesting contributions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I wish you a lot of success of putting together this challenging project.
Thank you very much. It definitely is a challenge to get this done in a short time, but we hope to join forces with everybody and have done a very nice approach in the end. Yeah, looking forward to good partners. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so we move to the next one. We don't hear you, Michael, if you want to say something. Still not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Now, yes.
Now the Zoom microphone, and I will share my screen and have the presentation online. So I guess now we are on speed.
Yes.
Just is the wrong slide. It's the last slide.
This was a fast presentation.
But at the beginning, that would be easier. So in parallel to what Andreas has presented, we're also working on getting together a consortium for the support action, which is quite a challenging task. In AVL, we are some kind of an independent company having expertise in these areas. We are also about 10,000 engineers worldwide, but we are not directly involved neither in providing like KDT or Conti or whoever providing such frameworks. We are more interested to provide services to it. The coordination and support action is a small call. It's a 2 million call CSA, which is 100% funded by the Commission. It's also 3 years long. And what we have to do is we have to support a number of different projects in different areas. And I took advantage of a result of our meeting in Brussels in November, which was also mentioned by McKinsey, that in the software defined vehicle, we have different layers. We have the hardware, which is going on in all these projects with RISC-V, intending to create a specific hardware, high-end hardware for these software-defined vehicles. Then we have this middleware operating system, service layer, where we are currently have the open call. And then we have applications around automated driving, all kinds of service tools, connection to the cloud, function as a service, and so on. These projects are going on in different programs, as well as there's a lot going on in different national programs. And the goal of this CSA is to tie it together to on the one hand, create an open community, an ecosystem which supports it. Call is for 3 years now. For sure, that will not end, and that there might be other calls or other things to continue that, because one of the most important topics and goal is that it's not just a one-time research activity, but it has to result in successful business models at the end. As it was presented by Max and by Anton, we have 3 intended results. And the one is we have to exchange knowledge and create an ecosystem which has a common understanding. This common understanding should be instantiated by a common open reference architecture with interfaces, defined interfaces, so that we have a modular approach, and it's not needed that you take everything, but you can pick and select. And for sure also to have a common understanding what are the important topics to work on and what are less important, so that we have a common research roadmap. We want to derive that from two sources. On the one hand, we want to team up with the projects and derive the information out there and have workshops to work on common understanding. And we also would like to get the knowledge from what's going around outside of our community in Europe, but also in the US, in China, wherever. That's the knowledge capturing part. And for sure, it has to be agile. So the speed with which technology is changing is really tremendous. Just think about ChatGPT, that wasn't well known a few months ago. Now it's everyone is talking about. This initiative took place thanks to the help of Max and Jean-Luc, that within 8 months we got the money to really work on. So we have to be very agile in workshops and in conferences. And we would like to create these 3 results: the ecosystem, the reference architecture, as well as this common research roadmap, which should be then a result also in recommendations to the governance structure, in close communication to this ecosystem. And for the ecosystem, we would like to establish an ecosystem forum where everyone can register and gets all the information about it, is invited to the workshops, to the conferences, as well as can bring in his or her contribution, because contribution will not end today. That's the starting point. How do we envision it? We have the workshops with the projects. We would like to establish a scientific board with the really top experts from academia, from research organizations, which bring in the information from the world. We have the information from the research projects. In common workshops, we generate drafts of a reference architecture with the important interfaces. And then we want to discuss it with an advisory board, where we have, as well as with the scientific board, where we have from the advisory board the OEMs, the tiers, the semiconductor industry, as well as the industry association like VDA, PFA, NVIA, so that we ensure that it fits to what's needed on the market, and that we have a good chance that industrialization takes place. For sure, that's not a one time. It has to be agile, so we have to adapt it according to the needs of the product. And we must not forget that our goal is also to create this large ecosystem. So we will also take into account the input from the ecosystem and bring back information about it. Our project, we have intended to have a comparatively small consortium, because it's a small initiative, but it's backed up by the scientific board, by the advisory board, backed up by this large open software-defined vehicle ecosystem forum, as well as by the projects and working together in the way as we talked about it. One thing, it's important, it has to be transparent, it has to be open, because it's an open system, open software, open hardware. Also, not everything might be open. There might be certain components which have just open interfaces, but partially open. That we will see. And we wanted to support this high-level governance board, where the Sherpas might play an important role. It's in the meeting in the afternoon, which tries to bring together the industry. And that's a one-off. That's the automotive industry, as well as the semiconductor industry, as well as the scientific world. That's why AVL is quite experienced. We are in the automotive industry in all the necessary gremia since a long time. We have a good experience, as well as in KDT and Excel. We have a good experience. So we took over this burden. I got the real got lucky that I could convince my vice president, Georg List, who is the part of the owner's family, to really take over the lead of this consortium, because it's important also to communicate and discuss from a really a high level approach to find the right business model at the end, so that that's what we are starting is sustainable and will be successful for the European industry. Project team, we want to have a representative from the OEMs, from the tiers, from semiconductor industry, from VFA, VDA, and so on, from the relevant technical expert, from academia. We need also communication experts, because communication is to build up the ecosystem is one of the most important goals, as well as we need some back office to work on. He was supported by VDI to provide back office experience. And we are setting up this advisory board, scientific board, and the open ecosystem forum. That's our intention. If you're interested to participate, the same way as Andreas, here you have the email addresses. Just send us an email. We'll also send you back the different opportunities. We also have weekly calls where you can participate, and yeah, we will want to find the best way that we really can fulfill the expectations of Max, Mr. Skodas, as well as the industry. I know it's not an easy task, but I am quite convinced it's a one-time chance we have to bring together all these different industry domains and to be competitive and even successful in the global market. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting and a lot of work. Success with the preparation. I have 2 more pitches to go. One is from John Abbott, software-defined network for maximum energy management. Do we have him on the call?
Yes.
Okay, good to hear.
Thank you very much, everybody. So what I would just do is we already have 2 papers that we worked on with KMAS, disjoint networks for software-defined networks. We are an SME and we work with a lot of universities in Germany, Austria, Poland.
It would be nicer if we see you. So can you please put your
sorry.
camera on?
Yeah. Oh, can you see me now? Thank you.
Not yet, but I hope it's coming.
Well, I open my screen.
No, we don't see the screen.
Oh, no. I open my camera. That's what I mean.
No, we don't see you, but okay, please go on.
1 minute. Let me test it again. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm John. Thank you, everybody. I've already put my contact in the chat. I'll put it again just now. So we work with partners. Some of our partners are Fraunhofer, some university partners, both in Turkey, Nigeria, and Austria. And we have a paper with respect to K-maximally disjoint parts, which I led 2 years ago for vehicular networks. And we are presently partnering with and transport systems to deploy more mobility solution with respect to SDV. So if you're interested, I'm going to copy what I've sent before and just put it in the chat now. And I'll put the paper that we presented some time ago in the chat too, just now. So I just put it. And thank you for the time. Well, we're already deploying some of the mobility solutions. We want to try for some cities that will have partnership with. in Turkey, in Romania, and in Austria. So if you'd like to join us, we're happy to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, and we are going to the last offer for a pitch. Xenomatics, emerging spatial intelligence.
Yes, hello, good morning. I'm
Hello.
Philip Goyens. I'm CEO of Xenomatics, and I will entertain you during 60 seconds with what we are doing. We are a Belgian-based SME, and we are the pioneers of solid-state LiDAR based on multi-beam. The goal of a software-defined vehicle, of course, is still to drive. To do so, it needs spatial intelligence, and we do that by focusing on sensing and on analyzing point clouds. We do this in three domains. We work on road management, so we create digital twins of roads for better, safer, and better maintained roads. We make industrial LiDAR for sensing in harsh environments, indoor and outdoor. And of course, we are also active in ADAS and autonomous driving for superior detection of other road users. Digital twins of roads is a very important one. It's not only about inspecting the quality of the road, it's also about contributing to high definition maps. So we locate road markings, for example, with centimeter precision, and as such, they act as beacons for self-driving cars or for ADAS functions afterwards. We think we are a good partner for this type of projects because we behave as an open sensor supplier, meaning that we typically give our partners and customer access to raw data. Raw data of solid-state LiDAR means point clouds, but also reflectivity, also quality data. And special thing about our LiDAR is that it also gives visual data from the same imager. Not just raw data, but also the results of data analysis, being detection based on AI or free space calculation is something we give access to. As an SME, we've been active in European projects and national projects for 10 years with a hit rate of more than 90% of success in applying for funding. So if you're interested in working with us, please contact my colleague alain.brakenier@xenomatics.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely interesting as a partner. So please contact them. And I'm at the end of the list that I had, but we are still online. So if somebody wants to tell us something about their company or about idea for consortium, now is the moment. I have to say it was extremely interesting, and especially I'm happy to hear that there are already consortia forming. So it looks promising. There are also quite some very interesting pitches of potential partners. So I believe it was a very useful session. But if I don't have any more pitches to present, then I would say we close the session. And thank you to everybody that has contributed.
Anton.
Yes.
This is Georgi. Maybe just before we close, it's good to wrap up and just to once again remind that reflect on the agility that we initially discussed, that our program is indeed open, and that every year we have a call, that we are listening to the industry, and that now we are discussing the SDV focus topic. We are discussing also the general call topics, but listening to you, to the industry, we are ready to adapt our program and to have future calls, which probably will be linked to the action that we are now discussing. So I think it's good to wrap it up that way.
Thank you. That's correct. This is not the last call in this area, so please continue to stay in touch. Good, thank you very much for all the contributors. And I wish you a very successful day further, because there are some more activities that probably a lot of you will be involved. If not, I'm looking forward to see you in the proposals. Have a nice day.
Thanks. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.